Welcome back, and thanks to Solution Tech for that last session, which I'm sure gave you all plenty to talk about during the break. It's 2:15 here in London, or as close as the gods of logistics will allow. Over the next hour, we'll be changing format slightly for our hosted roundtable sessions. But before that, we have a short keynote from Rob Broere of JR Technologies. Rob is going to be taking a look at why he believes that changing models in passenger processing point to a bright future for airline retailing.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this world. And I want to thank you for the opportunity for JR Technologies to give us our vision of the future of the passenger processing business models. We wish we would have been all in the same room, but unfortunately COVID-19 has stopped that from happening, but we'll make a good session out of this. We first start with a history lesson. In the early times, in the 1960s, we started, and this was all pre-computers. So nothing was there, it was all on paper. And similar, the airlines were flying propeller airplanes, and it's the old-fashioned periods. Quickly moving along, in the 1960s is when the airlines started introducing automation. And it's probably the first sector where the e-commerce of the world was actually introduced. Myself, I joined in 1981 into the industry, and I could book any airline for my terminal, and that actually worldwide worked. It's an absolute brilliant piece of e-commerce which the airlines did. It's based on PNRs and tickets, specifically paper tickets in the beginning. Then in the 1980s, the GDSs came along, and that started bringing in the age of the travel agents and how travel agents directly themselves could actually make bookings. On top of it, the frequent flyer programs get in to actually start getting the loyalties of the customers. Taking it further, we go into the internet age. In the 1990s, the customers themselves start bypassing some of the travel trades and go directly onto the websites of the airlines. Tickets became electronic tickets and miscellaneous charge orders for anything which wasn't a ticket. And ultimately, the life became a lot more interactive between the customer and the airlines. The airlines also started unbundling their products, and that became a lot more complex of how to fulfill that. Take it the next step further. Albert Einstein says a very clear thing: everything should be made as simple as possible, but not simpler. And that's the philosophy we have in JRT as well. Try to keep it simple, but of course, still the complexity is there in some shape. Take it forward, the revolution in the 2010s. And for me, that personally is actually a quite interesting area. At that time, I was still working for an airline, and the Simplified Business program came off the ground. And that actually started the revolution of new things like NDC, one order, one identity. And I had the luck to be the chairman of the group who brought these things into the world. And this really is the beginning of the start of the change. Unfortunately, it's not a very fast change, and it takes a lot of time before to get there. Also, personalization is actually the key part of this season, this area. It's all coming into much more into the future. Then we go to the future, and that's probably where the key messages are. How does the future look like? We at JRT see that there's probably 4 likely PSS future business models. The first one is relatively simple. It's more of the same. In other words, if you have a system which is based on PNRs and tickets, keep on building new ancillaries, new things, and just put in more EMDs, more complexity in the current PSS core. This works. It's relatively cheap, but it gets you into an extreme complexity to actually make this working. And also, how do you fulfill it? How do you know the promise you've given to the customer is actually working? The second model, which some of our colleagues in the industry are adopting, is to start saying is, okay, leave the core PSS to do with the basic models of PNRs and some ancillaries like seats and other things, and start building new business models around on order management. So that you actually create, that allows you to sell a lot more things. It gives you a lot more options. However, it also creates an enormous complexities where you have new on one side and old on the other side. We in JRT are concerned that that's an option which is financially very doable, but long term will actually get you into an absolute complete mess and a very complexity in servicing this. The third model is probably relatively straightforward. Just build a system for the future PSS business model. Just ignore PNRs, ignore tickets, ignore EMDs, and work purely on what is the future going to look like. Yeah? You create orders for everything and you fulfill them. It's more or less the Amazon for the airlines. Now, that itself is a very effective business model. It's relatively cheap to create. There's only one big but on it, and that's that overnight you are no longer having access to anything what the current industry has been doing. In other words, whatever the travel trade is doing today, booking through a GDS is not applicable to these airlines. Most airlines are extremely dependent on travel trade and their current business models to allow something like this to happen. This business model might work for an airline in a very isolated market with 100% internet penetration, but it's probably not sustainable for the majority of the carriers. That leaves us with one more, and that's the fourth one we talk about, which is effectively the same as version number 3, but the difference between the two is that this model allows you to integrate today into tomorrow. However, not like building tomorrow on top of today, but you build tomorrow and you integrate it backwards into today. That allows you to actually get a very smooth migration, more and more day by day. So you build order management, and if a certain party you work with is capable of doing order management, you move them away from PNRs and tickets. In this way, you step by step move from today into the future, and ultimately spoken, you can turn today off when the entire world has moved to tomorrow. Now, that's not going to happen overnight. I guess this is between 5 to 10 years, but some people say this might take 15 years before this is achieved. But when you do that, you have a perfectly future business model and a system. And in JRT, that's actually what we believe is the right way forward. And that's why I highlight this, that this is where we believe you can do this. This model allows you to track anything, to fulfill anything. So if you actually come up with a new ancillary for a rental car, you can track whether the rental car was being executed. A lot of airlines these days have white labeling on their web pages for hotels and cars, but they're completely independent from each other. And by some laws, specifically European laws, it makes the airline liable for fulfillment. So if your flight is late, you're also responsible for rebooking the hotel. But how do you know the hotel was there? Because quite often that's gone straight into one of the major hotel booking sites. So the future model of you have one line item. If you have a business class package, and that includes a lounge, that includes a fast track, that includes a limousine, in an order-based model, each line item is a separate line item within the order and can be tracked and fulfilled separately. That also gives you an enormous amount of customer data. That customer data is what can drive you into the future. Now, we believe firmly into this model, and that's why JRT created Aerostream. I'm going to be a little bit further what Aerostream is all about. It's the travel-centric airline retailing platform. Now, right now, that's actually what we believe in the COVID-19. Take a step back and look, where do I want to be in 5 years from now? Do I still want to do the same, or do I want to be a reinvented airlines? Quite often a crisis is the best time to actually think of where you want to be in the future. Yeah. The Aerostream, we believe it's future-proof and it's backwards compatible. At the same time, it's secure. It has to deal with all the PCI and GDPR and cybersecurity. It's smart. It can have APIs. You can use all kind of artificial intelligence on top of it because it interfaces easily into the new environment, which is much more difficult with PNRs and tickets. It's end-to-end. Yeah, we work with a lot of real-time partners to be able to deliver it. And it gives you a lot of options and a lot of capabilities to actually allow this to be delivered. It's very modular. In JRT, and we have to be very open, it's not an overnight delivery of everything. We just intend to deliver this in steps, and that allows you to deliver it in steps as well. If you want to have a travel agent portal to start with, we'll deliver your travel agent portal. If you want to do something different, we'll deliver that. So it's very modular, and you can decide yourself which parts of the modules you want to have. And if it works and you're happy with it, you can slowly expand it. It's also scalable. It's all based on the modern cloud technology and microservices, and you can just bring it up and continue scale it there. The good thing is about the cloud providers, like the Microsoft Azures, that they can just effectively stream and they can scale unlimited. They have computing power which is just beyond anybody's belief. And of course it has to be highly reliable in the 99.999%, but to be saying that's not a differentiation factor, that's just a health factor. Every system needs to be highly reliable. Take that further. This is how we actually designed the system. It's effectively a core platform. And on that core platform, we actually intend to build everything around it with a set of partners. So the core platform will have the inventory, it will have seats, it will have ancillary, and you have a whole product catalog of any kind of things that you potentially might want to sell. And that's not limited to airline. That can be hotels, that can be tours, that can be car rentals, that can be parking spaces. It's probably travel related, but it doesn't have to be. It could be duty free, it could be whatever you want. And a set of rich media. One of the biggest frustrations of airlines has been that they have differentiated, they got different products, but in reality, it still looks like an RBD. It's a B, it's a K. That doesn't mean much. Rich media allows you to actually show to your customers, as well as to your travel agents which are connected to this, that this is actually a feature which has a lie flat bed seat that looks like how it is, that you can actually see it. You can't touch it, but you can see it. Real-time business intelligence, so you make real-time decisions, and dynamic offer pricing and bundling. The key part is that you know your customers. So at Aerostream, at JR Technologies, we actually work together with Salesforce. Salesforce is extremely powerful in customer intelligence. We have no intention to build that level of knowledge. They are very good into it. So we can start saying on this individual customer order, what are the kind of things we should offer to the customer? And let them execute it. And then of course you have the order management underneath it, which allows you the seamless execution of everything what is in the platform. And that seamless execution and fulfillment is the key. For instance, it is right now, most airlines don't know how many passengers use a lounge of another carrier, because they get the lounge list back handwritten or with a highlighter, and it's just too expensive to actually put it in place. But if you know that a certain passenger hasn't used a lounge 20 times on business, and he flies once a year with his family in economy class, give them all a lounge pass, free, because that's loyalty. I think the key is that you actually use the customer data to drive the future forward. Now, it talks with everything. I'm not going to go into all the details, but the key part is that on delivery, we work with Atos, which is a big company which is capable of delivering high-quality IT solutions, Salesforce for the CRM, and revenue management providers. Whoever you select with, we can actually work very closely together with them. And then it talks the legacy, it still talks to the RIMP and Edifact, but it talks to the future just as well. The key is it can actually handle everything. NDC is supported, release 16.2 to present, and if you come with a new release, if IATA comes with a new release of NDC 20.2 within the next few weeks, it probably takes us less than a couple of weeks to make that ready. So we can make that available to all of you. JRT, this Aerostream does not have a departure control system, but we have proven that it can actually interact with a departure control system based on orders. So it's not that you provide a P&L, it actually dynamically interacts. Taking that forward, what does that mean to the airline? It means increased revenues. It actually, you choose your commercial marketing, your strategy. You are not stopped by what you want to offer. You offer whatever you like, whatever you want to do it. So you can drive packages which give you higher profits. It reduces cost and increase efficiency. If you can automatically track everything what happens, you don't need manpower to do it. And I think that's a key element. Customer insight. If you know detail what your customer is doing, you can go with relevant offers to the customers. I hate it when banks approach me for certain things like children's school fee, and I only have one kid and he is 29 years old, so I don't think I need it anymore. Be relevant to what it is to your customer. And commercial agility. Gain full control over your products. You yourself decide what you want, how you want to bundle your products, and what you want to do with it. It makes you in charge of that. Doing this together, it makes you staying ahead of the curve. And we believe that you can be very simply reflected that what you see here is a maze. And for a lot of passengers, as well as for travel agents and everything else, navigating the maze is their day-to-day job because of the complexity is there. JRT and Aerostream, we believe that you actually should have a straight line, which is very easy to understand, and everybody can just pass through this without any further problems. It's a very simple setup and go through it. And that's the vision of our product, and that's the end of our presentation. And if you have any questions, please do send me an email. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer for JRT, but you can also approach one of the others which are on here, and the slides will be made available to everybody who needs it. And I want to wish you a best time. Good luck with the COVID scenario, and hope next year we will all see you together again in London for the next conference. And I wish good luck for everybody. Thank you.
Thank you to Rob Broere for those fascinating insights. A pivotal moment indeed, and a great time to be sharing that vision with us. We're heading into our roundtables now, so if you haven't already decided which one to attend, now's your last chance. The roundtables will take us up till 3:15, at which time we'll be taking a short break, before resuming at 3:30 with Wade Jones of Sabre. Enjoy your discussions.